有人更有胃口吃啦，有人跟我讲话哦，他没有哦，你做这辈子想他的。
Not much because we going to older and older.
They avoid meat, but they don't realize by avoiding some of the nutrients, they are then eating more carbohydrates, more calories without nutrients.
长者营养不良趋势上升，独居老人为何更容易中招？
早上是吃这个面包咯，面包放这个鸡蛋咯，放这个鸡手，我们不知道为什么呢，不饿。
64岁的白来峰女士，丈夫1年前因病离世后，便一直独自生活。她说，这几年来自己的胃口越来越小，吃的也越来越简单。
我们的肚子已经变小了，不可以吃多多的。
白女士一天3餐吃得非常简单，早餐面包鸡蛋，午餐饭菜和鱼肉，晚餐有时只吃快熟面或者燕麦，然后睡前1杯鲜奶。看起来她每顿都有吃东西，但营养摄取其实远远不够身体所需，增加了营养不良的风险。
My name is Professor Reshma, and I'm actually going to see you today and see how we can address some of your medical problem and your nutrition as well. What do you normally eat for breakfast?
Bread, biscuit. Then sometimes I cook a bit. Night I will eat my pian or what. Cook and then put a bit milk.
It's very important for older person to know that they need at least 20 to 30 grams of protein each meal. So essentially for breakfast, a lot of them just eat 1 egg, which is just 6 grams of protein. 1 glass of milk is about 6 grams of protein. So essentially, if they just eat that for breakfast, that's just 12 to 15 grams. I mean, the very, very early signs, even before we become weaker, is things like we're not finishing our food, we have loss of appetite, we feel just tired, just want to sleep, not go out from the house. Eventually, we may realize, or family members may realize, that they're starting to lose a little bit of weight. And they will become weaker and weaker, and this is the downward spiral where they can then have a fall. We found that persons with malnutrition, about 2/3 of them had declining hand grip strength.
Okay, now you squeeze as hard as you can.
But it's known to be associated with dementia, with chronic disease, with mobility or walking, and even falls.
所幸白女士握力及格，但其他方面数字不太理想。
We did assessment of your muscle. We call it the whole muscle bulk, muscle mass. It's also slightly on the low end. Also slightly increased fat in the body. So it's important we eat enough food with protein, with vitamins, because when our muscle become stronger, the fat will go down.
刚才医生讲说其实你可能会有会营养不良啦，你有没有没有想到会这样？
我没有想过，我不知道，我以前我年轻就这样吃了，习惯了这样吃了。
国大医院在2025年针对将近700名能够独立生活的60岁以上年长者展开调查，了解他们的营养情况。结果发现，当中有10.6%的年长者有营养不良的风险。国立健保集团2025年也有调查显示，在住院病人中，高达40%面对营养不良风险，而当中多数是65岁以上的年长者。而在年长者当中，独居年长者患有营养不良的几率比与家人同住的年长者更高。
Those who live alone, the risk of malnutrition is 1.5 times higher in this group of people. When they're alone, they don't feel like cooking, they don't feel like eating, because eating is not just about biological aspect, right? It's also about socialization. They tend to skip meals, they don't have appetite.
同样是独自生活的66岁拉美斯，则觉得自己一个人出去吃比在家里煮更实在。
Sometimes lazy to cook. Too many, you have to clean up, washing plate, this, that, all. A lot of job. One person, right? So why not I buy outside, some buy, then eat, and throw away. Simple.
他的3餐也同样是简单处理。
Morning, I take breakfast, bread, some biscuit, and tea I make myself. Then lunch, sometime I too full, I eat. What I like, I eat. Hungry means I eat rice. Then evening, I eat bread like our chapati, because we going to older and older, some more got diabetes, and you want to take too much food also scared because your sugar level come very high. That's why I cut down.
拉美斯提到，他主要靠鱼肉摄取蛋白质，平时会尽量避免食用羊肉和鸡肉，因为他认为这些食物会导致胆固醇升高。他本人也不认为自己存在营养不良的风险。
Because mostly I eat vegetable also a lot, so that one is protein, very high protein.
但从他提供的日常饮食来看，其实并没有达到医生建议的蛋白质和维生素摄取量。他经常食用的烤麦饼虽然富含碳水化合物和一定纤维，但根据医生评估，其蛋白质含量并不足以满足身体所需。
They try to limit certain food. For example, egg. I mean, a lot of people are very fearful that egg has a lot of high cholesterol, right? They avoid meat. But they don't realize by avoiding some of the nutrients, they are then eating more carbohydrates.
拉梅斯每个月靠打散工、公积金等有1000多块钱的收入，其中几乎一半都花在食物上。
Food can come 500 to 600 because everything is expensive. Where got cheap? Even Chinese food, you go eat $7, correct? Indian food more expensive. Mostly cheaper option. I go to hawker center lah. So around I see what I can eat Chinese food, Indian food.
拉美斯一般吃不多，3餐几乎都是在外面解决。打开他的橱柜，大多是一些可以长期保存的食物，例如饼干、面包。在面对生活成本上升时的现实处境，饮食选择被压缩，营养均衡也往往退居其次。根据当局数据，新加坡独居长者人数过去10年增加超过1倍，从2014年的42100人增加到2024年的87200人，而且预计未来这个数字还会继续上升。研究显示，年长者越孤独，食欲越差。由于缺乏陪伴而导致的情绪低落和认知退化，也进一步导致年长者食欲下降，减少下厨的动力。
Older people who are staying alone, we encourage them to go down to the nearby active aging center to take part in the social activities. A lot of them also offer communal dining or eat together, and this is where they make friends. We do encourage the family members to drop by regularly to ensure that they've eaten, they have access to groceries. And really, if they're not finishing their food, and probably bring them to the doctors to see why are they not eating very well.